stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Yeah. Outstanding play.
I find a lot of the things that they do amusing. They need to check themselves sometimes. So you might as well just come out and say what you're feeling at some point in time, because I can only be diplomatic for so long. Okay? The little brother stuff, all the disrespect, it doesn't have to go in that direction. We've tried to handle ourselves with composure. That doesn't come from the coach. That comes from the program. And throwing the stake down in our backyard out here and coming out there like they're all that, it got shoved up. It got shoved. Just felt like we needed to put a stake in him at that point. It's hard to have a little brother.
Good evening. You are looking live and inside the locker room. I am your co-host, Brian Mosollam, alongside my co-host, the Honorable Jason Strayhorn.
How you doing, Brian? It's a great week, isn't it?
You know what? How many times in our life do we wait for a week like this?
I mean, it's never happened before in our lifetime. Not since 1964 have both teams been undefeated and been ranked in the top 10. And, we're talking about the backyard brawl, Michigan versus Michigan State week in East Lansing. All the eyes of college football, the world of college football will be focused in East Lansing on Saturday, a noon kickoff, ESPN Game Day, Fox big noon kickoff. I mean, it's going to be jumping out there.
Why is it a noon kickoff anyway? Like, why are we doing noon?
I mean, we're still mad about it.
I'm still mad about the noon kickoff.
We just have to get up earlier, man, and get the party started early. That's all. That's all we got to do.
But, you talk about just a colossal showdown. You talk about two programs that really are still trying to find their way, right? That are coming off of mediocre seasons, and without question, Coach Tucker's done an amazing job. Jim Harbaugh's kind of, rallied the troops, and you're heading into a showdown here that has both fan bases very, very excited.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts on that.
I mean, my thoughts are it's going to be a lot of pain. It's going to be a lot of suffering, a lot of pain and pressure. The strain and the struggle that Coach Tuck is all those things. I'm going to start quoting Tuck, the great philosopher Tuck. I mean, this is not going to be an easy game. I don't care what side you're on. This is going to be a battle, man. This is going to be one of those, slobber knockers. Hey, who's the last man standing? I think that there's great athletes. There's a lot of power on both sides. There's a ton of determination. There's no question about it. And it's going to be the team who controls that football, holds on to it, and makes the least mistakes at the end of the day that's going to win this one. I mean, you got to come. Everybody's going to want to win this. Everybody wants to win. Everybody knows how important this game is.
The fan base, the janitor, the alumni, you name it, everybody, everywhere, every place. This is it right here.
This is it. I think we've even gotten past the whole Michigan overlooks Michigan State, for Ohio State because of the results of that series over the last 20 years. I think
you're 9-5 over the last 14 years. You kind of get over that when Michigan State beats Michigan, right? Don't you?
Yeah.
You lose that moniker.
Thing. Yeah,
of little brother or whatever they want to say over there. But when you walk the way we've over the last decade and a half, we've pretty much handled the series. Kind of all that goes away, don't you think?
I mean, and you talk about that last decade and a half, and most of those wins came from one special guest who's going to be on the show later tonight.
Oh boy,
Mark Dantonio.
Don't get me excited right now.
8-5.
I can't. I don't. He changed the whole trajectory of a rivalry. So I don't get me going right now. Let's hold our powder. Tell me what it was like, Jason, playing in that game.
Oh, it was great. I mean, this is a game that when you come to Michigan State, you realize how big and how important it is from day one. Every week, I remember George Perlis used to practice a little bit in one little period on Michigan every day, every week. And when it became Michigan week, it was impossible. You could not wear blue. No one wanted to wear blue. I don't think many guys were going to class. It was crazy.
What? They're missing class?
I heard about that. Of course, we went to class. Who missed class? We went to class. Some other guys didn't go to class.
I was an academic all-American.
We ain't gonna say nothing about that.
I didn't miss class.
We ain't calling nobody out. None of them Spartan dogs. You know who you are.
But like, there was a certain intensity and a rivalry to that week. Like that intensity of that week, like you can't replicate. All right, when you went to practice that Monday, like I specifically remember Nick Saban. It was that Monday. It was his birthday. We just lost to Wisconsin, and it didn't matter. It's Michigan week, and we were focused. I'm talking 1995, right? And we were ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Nick looked older back then than he does now.
Is he on HGH too?
No, Nick's not on HGH. No,
you said the GOAT, Tom Brady, was on HGH. I didn't know if you meant the GOAT.
But Nick dyed the hair a little, got some contacts. He looks good.
He looks very good.
Absolutely.
It's on this weekend. Looks good. Real good.
But when you talk about that game, right, and the way you planned, that whole week was different. The intensity in practice was different. The way we prepared was different. The focus everywhere, the attention to detail from kickoff, kick return, every little thing, it was just different.
And I think when you went to class, those of you that did, and when you walked the hallways, the streets of East Lansing, just trafficking about your normal day-to-day business, you felt a tension in the air. And everyone is talking about the big game. It's a big one this week. This is the week, guys. You going to bring this one home? What do you guys think? That's the same feeling that we get today as former players that have nothing to do with what's going to go on the field, but you still have those butterflies come Saturday morning, right? You're still going to feel like those young men are going to feel when they walk over from the Kellogg Center with Mel Tucker and company as they walk into Spartan Stadium, knowing that they're preparing to do battle. And their very careers are going to be defined upon what they do after that noon kickoff. So it means a lot, man. It means a whole lot. People carry that with them. You don't take this game lightly. You can't.
I mean, I'm 47 years old, and I woke up Monday morning, and I said, shut it down. Shut the whole week down.
Working.
No work. Nothing.
I know. I mean, I've gotten a lot of calls from you this week.
I mean, I'm just excited.
You're checked out at work.
I'm checked out.
How your partners feel about that?
Oh, they're fine. They're fine.
They know you.
They know it's Michigan week.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut the whole thing down because the focus changes everything, and it's really exciting for the state of Michigan. Right, for the whole state itself. You got 2 7-0 teams. You have the banter between fans. You have households divided. You have everybody excited. And I can't tell you how many texts I got this week talking about, I can't wait till Saturday. I can't sleep. I can't focus. I can't this. I can't that. And like, to me, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, it means everything. It does. It's a great time. This is a great time of year. The weather's turning. The trees are turning colors. And, there's going to be a lot of bruises and blood, sweat and tears out there on Saturday. And a lot of cheers, too. A lot of people, somebody's going to leave out of there a winner. Somebody's going to be a loser. And everyone wants it to be them, the winner. Everybody wants to be on that winning side, man. But what do you think are the keys for Michigan State?
Do we have any footage of the 95 game?
Yeah,
you like playing that. Let me go down memory roll a little bit. Back when I played, God, that looks old.
The film looks like it's
look
from
at
the 50s.
Right guard right there. Right guard, that's Nigeria Carter right there going over to that was 4th down. Him calling Derek Mason inbounds. That's probably my greatest era. That was my greatest. That was Tecmo Bowl, yes. That was my. I'm shocked that's in color, right? Look at this play here. This is Scotty Green breaking it up the middle here, right last minute of the game. This next play is unbelievable because Rod Woodson.
I'll see you, Pops.
Right here. Rod Woodson's a true freshman. Everybody thought Rod Woodson had this pick, and
Ohio Player of the Year.
Derek came down and had that play.
Freshman.
Unbelievable.
Just didn't get the hops on that one, did he?
Yep. Derek came down, 13-year NFL, 14-year NFL career. Right there. Last play of the game. Great block
fake,
by that right guard.
Ease up to look at that arm
Mosollam, look at that. The Nigeria Carter. 95. Snow was coming down. It was just a magical, magical day. They were ranked 7th in the nation. Those were the memories that I had. Oh, Nigeria, when he took that down, I was in awe. Like it was surreal. I mean, those are some of the great memories in all of college football that I have ever had experienced. And you wonder in the business world what can replicate that feeling. Like
Nothing.
How do you ever come back and say that exhilaration, that feeling, that chopping, battling, coming back, down 20, 25, I think it was 20, 21, and scoring that touchdown. The memories of that game will be ingrained in me forever.
Oh, man.
100 pounds ago.
100 pounds ago, they caught a picture of you in the paper, right?
20-some years ago?
Man, do we have that picture?
No, I don't think we do.
Oh, come on, man.
That picture can't fit in the screen. That picture.
He was a true offensive lineman, ladies and gentlemen. He was.
That picture cannot fit in the screen at all. So when you talk about, so we're heading into the big game, right?
Yeah.
We have 7-0 versus 7-0, and just a colossal showdown. I mean, they're heading for a crash course collision. And if you remove the emotion from this, right? You remove the hatred, you remove the rivalry, and you get the X's and O's, and you talk about, all right, what does it take to win this game? All right, when you look at all the different things that, like, especially in this rivalry, all right, now I believe 2 times over the last 30-some years, the team that has not led in rushing has won. One of them was in 95.
Very rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. So usually the team that rushes for more yards win this game. But when we talk about the keys to the game, all right, when we look at this game and we talk about the keys, and they both have, stellar folks on both sides of the ball, right? I mean, Michigan's D-line, Aiden Hutchinson is probably one of the best players. And then
top 10 pick for sure.
No question. And we talk about our offensive line that has tremendous depth. They roll in 2 lines, right?
Yep.
I think the number one key to the game, as always, is to control the line of scrimmage. All right? In my opinion, whoever controls the line of scrimmage, especially in this game, right? Who out physicals, out toughs up front, because we know Michigan's going to try and run the ball.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, we know they're going to try and run the ball.
They're physical, too, now.
Yeah, they're going to try and run the ball, and it's all about us being able to control that line of scrimmage. And I think
getting a little of that and a little of that.
Yeah, I think that's something that's exactly it's really important to do all that. When we look at
highlights right here, I mean, these are the weapons that Michigan State has, obviously, right? You look at the big playability of Jaden Reed, Peyton Thorne getting that ball, stretching the field, Jalen Naylor, defense getting after it.
And so when
you said, that power running game for Michigan is that's going to be something now.
It's all about controlling the line of scrimmage, in my opinion, as the number one key to the game. When you talk about the second key to the game, you really look at winning the turnover battle and limiting mistakes. So when we started off the year, we were very crisp, right? We had some very crisp games, very limited in turnovers, very limited in penalties. And I think really it's going to come down to that as well. It's about who can limit the mistakes, who can limit the turnovers, who can limit the sudden changes in the field. And this is something that, Coach preaches on daily, right? It's about doing these things that allow you to win the game.
Yeah, you can't turn the ball over in this game, man. It's huge. In a rivalry game, at home, you might have one to give away, but you better be plus in that turnover margin. You don't want to end up in a position where you're giving the ball away more than they're taking it away from you. I mean, giving it away more than you're taking it away from them. Excuse my French. You have to hold on to the football. You have to control the line of scrimmage and play your game. That's the only way that Michigan State or Michigan has an opportunity to win this ball game. I think that, when you match it up, if it's a mistake-free ball game between both teams, I think Michigan State does have more playmakers. But Michigan, with that power running attack, with that big offensive line that they had to rotate some new guys in due to injury. But looking at what Corum and Haskins have been able to produce running the football is going to be a daunting task for Michigan State's front seven. Looking at how they run the defense in Michigan State, they usually have about 6 guys in the box, and they bring in a safety, Xavier Henderson. It's going to be a big game for him to be able to make the tackles that he has to in the open field and force McNamara to use the deep ball. Right now he's very efficient in short passing situations, but on the deep ball, unless he catches lightning in the bottle as J.T. Barrett did back in 2014 in Spartan Stadium, I think that bodes well for the Spartan defense to challenge him to do so. On the other side of the ball, Michigan State offensive line has their work cut out for them. As you said, they rotate a lot of players in and out, but that defensive line, that front for Michigan is outstanding. They get after the quarterback, they make plays, they have great athletes, and that's going to be a lot to handle. But being able to stretch the field with the receiving game, the passing game, getting K9 out in swing pass situations, screen situations, will open up the power running game for Michigan State. As you know, that guy can run it. He can hit the home run, and he can hit it. He'll hit you for 3 yards, get a carry for a while. Then all of a sudden they start turning to 8 yards and 10-yard carries in the third and fourth quarter. So that's going to be that's where the ball game is going to be, in my opinion.
So when you win the turnover battle, all right, and you limit your mistakes, and you get in the trenches, right? Because I agree with you, Michigan's D-line is phenomenal, led by Aiden Hutchinson. When you watch them play up front, they're very physical. Their O-line has been pretty physical all year.
Oh, yeah.
They've ran the ball very, very well. And so if you're able to limit the mistakes and the turnovers, and you're able to put 8 in the box, all right, and make them throw over top. I mean, that's the main thing, right? Is putting 8 in the box and making them to throw over the top and forcing the quarterback to beat you. I mean, that's the main thing that you have to do. I believe is that you have to not allow them to run the football, to control the line of scrimmage, to win the turnover battle, and you got to force the quarterback to beat you. I mean, that's what you have to do. And all year we've had this bend but don't break philosophy where teams have moved the ball down on us, but when they get in the red zone. Look, in college football, it's very hard. It's very hard to go 10, 11 plays, sustain drives without making mistakes, making turnovers. And I think that's one thing that, Coach Tucker's done very well.
The bend but don't break.
Yeah, Scotty Hazelton's done very well. Mm-hmm. And they know how hard it is to go 10, 11 plays and execute, not make a mistake, not get a holding penalty, not get a turnover, drive the ball and score. And so these are the things that I think if you hang your hat on and you're able to stop the run, control the line of scrimmage, limit the turnover battle, you need to force the quarterback to beat you over the top. And that's one thing where I think, that they do not have those explosive players that we have on the edges in the backfield. And it's going to come down to their O-line, our D-line versus their O-line blocking them. And that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, losing Ronnie Bell was a big deal.
Yes.
He was their best player on offense.
Player. Absolutely great player.
Losing him in a punt return situation, I think early in the season, it was a big loss for them as far as a deep threat, a kick return threat, a guy that they really wanted to hang their hat on in order to make. He's the Jaden Reed, if you will, of Ann Arbor, and a guy who they sorely miss. So, what do you do now? You give the ball to Haskins, who's been running lights out over the last couple of weeks. Corum is a guy. That's a great 1-2 punch, those two. And they have the big offensive line and that power running game, and they try to set you up for the play-action pass, try to get it over your head, as you said. So you have to be very disciplined if you're a Michigan State defender with great eye control in that secondary and being able to get after it and get fresh bodies in there on that defensive front.
Which we do. We rotate very well. We seem to rotate guys. We got a bunch of guys playing up front. Let me ask you this. Can Cade McNamara beat us over the top?
aside from something happening, somebody coming down and touching him on Friday night while he's down the road sleeping in his hotel room, I don't. If he's the same guy that we've seen, no. I know how resilient and young guys can grow overnight, literally, seemingly. I've seen the way that Indiana played a couple of weeks ago against their secondary, who was ranked 110th in the nation in pass defense. And I'm telling you, Michigan State didn't play a bad ball game offensively, and that defensive secondary played lights out. So it can happen in college football. You have the story is not written in ink on Cade McNamara just yet, but from what we've seen, I don't think he can do it.
So if we get into a situation where we can't run the ball and they're limiting our explosive plays and our big plays, do we get into this is where, Coach Johnson comes in and makes adjustments against Miami, right?
Yeah.
Where he uses their speed against them, tight end leak, screen plays, slip screens, and kind of uses some of their speed and their athleticism against them. Because we know as well as I do. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson is a top 10 pick. He's a force to be reckoned with. And so how do you neutralize a guy like that? You have to chip him. You've got to hit him in a lot of different areas, right? You got to bring the line has to block him, obviously. You're going to have tight end help. You're going to have running back help. You're going to have double teams. You're going to have a lot of different people making sure, and they know where 97 is when he lines up on every snap. He has to be accounted for. He is that good of a player. You cannot man up him and just say, let's just play you one-on-one. That's not going to happen. If you do, that's going to be a long day. So neutralizing him, as you said, getting into other passing, you have check with me's. You got run pass options. You read him. That's something that Peyton Thorne and the company is going to be working on, I'm sure. Paying attention to where he's at and scheming, coming up with plays that will limit his effectiveness. As you know, there are plays where the defensive end can be left unblocked. He's good enough to make that play. He is. He's good enough to make that play, so you can't do that with a guy of this caliber. Somebody has to lay a hat on him every single play in order to limit the production of Aiden Hutchinson, or it's going to be a long day for the Spartans. So have you seen many explosive plays from Michigan this year? I'm talking 70, 80-yard passes, runs.
No. I mean, no, not at all.
And so we've seen that from us, right? I mean, this is I think that's another factor in the game, is to create and to limit explosive plays. And I think if we can pop one or two pass or runs, right, to be able to show some explosive plays.
And what does that do when you have an explosive play in a rivalry game?
I think it's a morale boost for the offense. I think it's a backbreaker for the.
That's the way to put it. A morale boost for the offense. The stadium explodes, Brian. Everybody goes absolutely mad when there's an explosive play in a rivalry game, especially two top 10 teams with all this attention. Everybody's waiting on that. That's why you can't sleep, because you're waiting on this moment right here to happen against the Wolverines. And the other side, the Wolverines are waiting on that to happen against the Spartans. So let's not kid ourselves. Big plays make this thing go round.
You know what? It's funny because we are going to, in my opinion, have to limit the explosive plays, which we've done a very good job of this year. Mm-hmm. A very good job. And I believe we're going to have an explosive play or two. I do. I think
like this one?
Yeah.
First play of the year?
Yeah, I think the Michigan defense is hard to go 10 plays, 80 yards against. And I think in every one of our games, when you watch, Michigan State play, that's something this offense has thrived on. That it's gotten the fan base excited about. And can we go 10, 11 plays against this defense, be methodical, not make mistakes, and go on a 10, 11 play drive and score over 80 yards? Can we?
Yeah. Yes, we can. We can. We're built for that. I mean, there's evidence in games like, we played, Western Kentucky. There was a game that you had to put together some drives there and limit the high octane offense on the other side. You've seen a team in Michigan State who's been able to take the best punch of other programs, as you saw against Nebraska, and still find a way in the face of a sure loss, we find a way to win the ball game when the chips are down, and finding a big play here, an interception there, a kick return. So manufacturing a win and manufacturing points, however they come, I think is the most important thing, and that's what I think the secret sauce for this particular Spartan football team has been thus far. There's not one way that they do it. They can do it in many ways.
It's funny because, these games have always historically have come down to like every receiver, big plays by receivers, right? I mean, Plexico did it some years back. Bell did it 2 years ago. Ricky White did it last year. Yeah. And it's going to take big plays.
Braylon did it a couple years back.
Yeah.
Got to give him some love.
Got to give Braylon some love.
Oh, yeah.
Was that 04?
Yeah, 05? Man.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yep.
What he did.
Braylon did it. I mean, and it's come down to, at the end of the day, big plays. I mean, what was that? That was, I believe that was a Bell 2 years ago, right? In 18, where that 80-yard bomb over the top. Those are backbreakers.
Those suck. Those absolutely suck. They hurt, and they charge you up. Like you said a year ago, Ricky White went nuts. I mean, 200 yards, I think it was. It was something crazy, 180 plus, in the big house with no one watching.
So I believe, like, for this showdown, heading the keys to the game, we have to control the line of scrimmage. There's no question, right? I mean, whoever controls
you got to control everything.
I
like
agree.
The
noon kick, the tailgating scene, controlling the line of scrimmage, winning the turnover battle, limiting mistakes, all those things, and I think we'll have a W.
Yeah, let's just quit talking about all this X's and O's stuff, man. Let's talk to the expert about X's and O's, man.
The expert. He's special. He's a legend.
Well, you're teasing us. I mean,
Mark
Dantonio,
man.
They don't want to hear about you and me talking about this stuff.
They don't. I mean, Coach D is a legend. I mean, we got.
There he is.
We got Coach. I mean, wow! What an honor to have Coach D here
Super
joining
honor,
us.
man.
It's an absolute honor. Coach D, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're hanging in here.
Can you
Brian's
hear him?
going on and on about how he sees the keys of this game, but I think
Coach, you like my expertise on it?
Well, you talked about two offensive linemen talking about controlling the line of scrimmage. So I think
Shocker! It's the most important thing, Coach.
Coach, tell us how you feel this week.
I feel good about it. Excited to watch it. Should be a great football game, and usually the team that executes, the best is going to win the football game, whether it's on the line of scrimmage or in the passing game or turnovers or quarterback decisions. There's so many things that go into a football game, that dictate winning and losing. So this has got it all.
Without question. Coach, talk a bit about what you're doing now. In retirement, are you enjoying yourself? Playing any golf?
Are you bored, Coach? Come on, don't lie to us.
Yeah, everybody should try it at least once, I think.
Hopefully.
I've been to a lot of football games, really. I went to see Coach Norton play last weekend, a big win against Clemson. Saw Cincinnati play. Been to 3 of Michigan State's games, so that's kept me pretty busy this fall. And, I'm trying to become somewhat of a golfer, so I'm working at it. But there's always something to do. I don't find myself sitting around too much, so there's always a little bit of something to do. Got a little football fixes in August, went to some camps, did that in the spring as well. So, just sort of withdrawing. I'm just withdrawing a little by little. But it's been good. It's been good, and my family's good. I've got a granddaughter now, and
that's awesome.
Oh, wow!
Congrats.
Those type of things are part of our life.
So do you miss it?
Do I miss it?
Yeah.
Some of it. I love the press. You know that. No, I do. I miss aspects of it. What I really miss is the players. I get a chance to connect with the players, whether, a lot of the past players and some of the current players as well, in practice or seen them at a game. I was at the Miami game down in Florida, went on the team plane, so that was nice, and appreciate it. But Coach Tucker's doing a great job. He and his staff, they got it rolling. I think our players are playing very, very well as well, and you see big plays, whether it's defense, offense, special teams. You got a lot of big plays in there, so just thrilled for Michigan State.
Yeah, Coach, thinking about when you left, and you still have a lot of players that are contributing in a big way on this team. So when you look at those guys and the successes they're having, how does that make you feel as someone who brought them to Michigan State and now you can watch them from afar?
Well, when we brought them, we talked about winning championships, and regardless of who's coaching, those are possibilities with the traditions that have been here and things that have been put in place, and some of the legacies that have gone on through the last years. You've seen those type of things. So they have an opportunity to do those type of things, and that's what's exciting for me, and really for me, to see them have success, is a very big positive for the Dantonio family, because that was the one thing that I was concerned about, just moving forward. I wanted them to be successful, and I wanted them to feel like Michigan State was the right place to come, regardless of who was the coach, and they were going to be able to be move forward and have championship dreams.
Coach, it was great when we were in Coach Tucker's office to see you walk in there, and it was your office, in and out, and your relationship with Mel, and it really made us as former players buy in and believe to this is great, right? This is just a continuation that Coach D this is his program. He's welcome. He built it. It's his. And talk to us a little about your relationship with Coach Tucker.
Well, Mel and I have known each other probably for 25 years. It goes way back. So, when I was working here with Nick, when you guys were playing, I think Jason, you graduated in 96.
98.
98.
Yep.
So you're here a couple years. You were here when Mel was here. Mel was a graduate assistant for us on defense in the secondary with me. And with Nick, because he's going to be in there too,
That's all I remember is him yelling at you.
All three of you guys.
Because my last two were Nick's first two, and the worst job you can have is be his DB's coach.
Ask the guy that's there now.
I would say there's a big silver lining in there, and he's been great to me. So
yeah.
But Mel was with us for 2 years there, and then on to, I think, Miami of Ohio, and then LSU, and then I go to become the defense coordinator at Ohio State, and Coach Tressel says, hey, you can hire one guy on defense, and I brought Mel Tucker with us.
Oh, wow.
And so he was at Ohio State for, I think, 4 years, 3 with me. I went on to Cincinnati, and then fast forward to 2020, he becomes the head coach of Michigan State, and he was a guy that along the way, and when the administration was asking me about who I thought would do a good job, he was one of the guys that I said, hey, you got to look at Mel Tucker. So I'm thrilled for him. He's done an outstanding job. I think he's a player's coach. He's a disciplinarian. He's a great technique coach, and he's a ball coach, and he's excited about ball. So couldn't be happier. And right now it's 7-0, so things are good, and the next one up. It's always about the next one up, regardless of who you're playing. So,
regardless of who you're playing, even this week?
Even this week, next week. Regardless of what happens this week, there's going to be a game next week. So, one of the things that I really tried to make sure that we did, win or lose this Michigan game, how are we going to play the week after Michigan? And we tracked that for 13 seasons.
You had a lot of success playing against Michigan and the teams. I used to say, October and Novembers are for contenders back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day, September, October. There's November for contenders, yeah.
Yes.
So, but coming down the stretch, it'll be exciting to watch. And,
so, Coach, you took this, this, and I don't know how intentional it was, but you took this battle cry that after that first loss to Michigan, that you laid out those prophetic words that it's not over. It'll never be over. It's just getting started.
Guys, is it? It'll never be.
Ever. I agree.
Ever. It just won't. I mean, I don't care who you talk to. You could be talking to the mom who's married to a Michigan guy. You know, it's not over for her either. You know, and so it's just sort of the way. You know, I didn't think about those things as I was sitting there at that press conference. You know, it just sort of all came to a head there, and you know.
But do you realize how legendary those words are? Do you realize how much Spartan Nation has grasped those words and the constant disrespect and how you took it and
just ran
drove
with
that
it, man.
mantra
Yeah.
with the program?
Yeah, I think that the bottom line is, you know, regardless of what I said there, if we wouldn't have won 7 out of the 8 next games against those guys, you know, it would have just been blown off. So I think winning helps create that feel, you know.
Yeah, but then think about like a few years later, right? You're at the football banquet and you point to the non-seniors and you say to them, you guys are going to be the ones. And the following year, after I think it wasn't a championship season, you end up going almost undefeated.
You went to the Rose Bowl and filmed the video before it happened.
Like where does that come from?
Where does that? What are you doing? That became prophetic. How do you do that?
I don't know. I'm blessed, I guess, you know.
Yes, I'd say so.
I really think sometimes I look around and wonder, you know, how did things happen? And they just happen. But I think the important thing to recognize is that everybody's got a piece of that, and especially our coaches, our staff, our administrators, you know, our players certainly. And you got to make plays on the field. But once you start believing, and I really think this football team right now is believing. Once you start believing, you know, incredible things are possible.
So speaking about that, does this team remind you of a team that you had at Michigan State a specific year, looking at how they're playing and the way the season's going so far?
Well, I think you've got to look back at last year. You know, it was an uncommon year. You know, they didn't have a lot of time together. No spring practice, no fall camp, you know, or backed up fall camp. And they got fall camp in September. You know, then a season that was sort of cut short. But they had some glimpses, you know, probably a little bit like 09. And then here we come in 10. And you know, we're out of the gate. You know, we go 8-0, I think, before we lose. So, you know, a little bit maybe like that football team, you know, all of a sudden you've got a guy like Kirk Cousins playing in 2010 as opposed to 2009. He was splitting time with Keith Nickel. You know, one guy got hurt, the next guy comes in, he gets hurt. A little bit what happened last year with Rocky and Peyton a little bit, sort of split time, and now Kirk Cousins becomes the quarterback, and Peyton becomes the quarterback and playing very, very well, making great decisions, and really establishing himself as a quarterback of not just this year but of the future.
So how does it feel to be the MSU's all-time winningest coach? Do you ever think about it?
Yeah, I do think about that. You know, I think that's it's one of, you know, when we were done, you know, one thing I wanted to make sure that we tried to do was leave a legacy of some respect. And, you know, certainly there's some things that, you know, that we got to do better. There always is. But, you know, we established some things, and I do think that we left the program in good shape as evidence of, you know, the players that are playing and having success. And I think one thing you got to always remember, you know, when you come in as a new coach, whether it was us going to Ohio State or, you know, Mel coming here or me going to Cincinnati, and, you know, Bobby Stoops once told me, he goes, "Hey, how you like your team this second year? You like it a lot better than the first year." And, you know, you grow together and you change things a little bit. The culture changes a little bit. And, you know, they got to get used to you and you have to get used to them. So it's exciting to watch them, you know, perform and grow. And I'm just happy for everybody involved and for Spartan Nation.
Well, Coach, is a young man that was raised in Zanesville, Ohio, and playing for a ton of great men and playing and coaching with a lot of great coaches and mentors. Like, talk about who was one of the most influential guys or people in your life to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've thought about that a lot throughout these years, and probably 4 or 5 different people that I can point to. And, one is Coach Dale Evans, who was my secondary coach in South Carolina. He sort of started me on this path to be a college football coach, so he would certainly be a guy. Then you fast forward to a guy named Randy Hart, who really sort of brought me to Ohio State as a graduate assistant, having been with him at Purdue at one point. Then you got to fast forward to Jim Tressel, who was with him at Youngstown State. And then he brought me back to Ohio State. Certainly he's a guy. Bob Goyne gave me my first head coaching job. He was a former athletic director at Florida State. He was the AD at Cincinnati, and was the defense coordinator at Ohio State. And then certainly Nick Saban. Nick hired me when he first came to Michigan State, and I had the opportunity to work as a secondary coach and a defensive coach with him for 5 years. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. Working with him, you're going to learn. Both him and Tressel, both those guys, outstanding coaches. Probably, 2 of the top coaches in America the last 50 years, certainly. 2 Hall of Fame coaches, and had the opportunity to work with them. And then you take all the assistant coaches that I've been around. I've been around Dom Capers as a graduate assistant. On it goes. You can look at all the people at Michigan State and all the guys at Ohio State. Luke Fickell was with us at Ohio State. So Mel Tucker, Luke Fickell, myself, Mark Snyder, Jim Haycock. That was the defensive staff at Ohio State when I was there. And all great coaches, all great football guys, and all great guys that have a lot to offer. So there's been a lot of different people that have impacted my life. And I got to say, the one person, my wife Becky.
Oh yeah,
the
boss.
I like greatly. So if she sees this video, she knows that. And then I've had a lot of people, praying for me throughout. So, it's been a combination of a lot of different things. So, I've been, like I said, I've been blessed, and my children have been great throughout, my family, and so I've got a lot of people to thank along the way. But I've got time now.
But when you got here, you embraced the rivalry. Like, you made it a focal point. You knew this fan base, the Spartans, constantly felt disrespected, felt that they were, not an equal rival to Ohio State, and you grasped that. You caught the hearts and minds of Spartan Nation, and you did it in a very methodical, deliberate way, intentional way. What led you to that? Would you realize this is where we need to take this program to the next level?
Yeah, I had the advantage of I had 2. One, being at Ohio State as a graduate assistant, so I understood a little bit about that rivalry. And then I go to Michigan State as an assistant, 6 years here, so I get a full taste of that one while I'm here with Coach Saban and then Bobby Williams. I leave and go to Ohio State, where I'm back at it with them. And then I go to Cincinnati, where I got a 3-year hiatus, and then I'm right back at them. So, I was I guess, born and baptized with them. And so along the way, you just got a feel for it all, and, it's not so much a dislike. I have a lot of respect for them and what they've done, But then, everybody's tossing books at me. I'm reading the book about the the tradition and how Michigan State got in the Big Ten and all the different stuff. And then when I got here, I remember the first high school association banquet, the Dream Team banquet I went to. We got there early. They walked in late, and and just walked in, and so had to call them out right there. And that's when it really started. So,
what would you say at that first Dream Team banquet? I don't remember that.
What happened? I have to look back. Young then. I said, hey, we're gonna, I think I said we're gonna measure up. I said that's all. I would say, hey, we're gonna measure up, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to measure up, and really, quite honestly, if you're gonna be a player in this state, whether it's football or basketball, you have to be on equal footing with the people down the road. You have to.
if you can't be on equal footing, then it's going to be hard to ever say you're the best in the state. But if you win your share, you're going to have an opportunity to say that. So, and that's important in this conference. You know, you got Notre Dame over here, you got Michigan, you got Ohio State, you got Penn State. You know, you got a lot of great football tradition schools here. And I've always tried to say that Michigan State is one of those places that have tradition. And we worked on it very hard here, and we worked on it daily.
You did. You know, I remember one thing about you was after the 14 game, when we scored at the end of the game, I remember seeing you in the locker room after the game. I've never seen you so mad, ever. And I said to you, I don't know if you remember, I said, Becky's looking for you. And you were just irate. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't realize they put a stake in the field. And you had some choice words I don't want to repeat right now, but you walked away, and I'm like, what the hell is he so mad about? We just won 35-14. And so I get in my car, and I start driving home, and I start reading Twitter, and I didn't realize they put that stake in that field. And then when I saw the press conference and everything you said, I said, wow. They just don't get it.
Big mistake.
You know,
I think the thing
it was
at the end of that ball game was a point of emphasis, and you know, that was all running the football down the field, and no huddle. It was not a no huddle offense. We huddled, but we made our point.
I've never seen you so mad ever. I don't think. Say it again.
I can get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just. You know, and it's a great rivalry, right? It's a great rivalry, and
it's good for college football. It's good for college football. You know, this is no different than the Clemson, South Carolina rivalry when I played, or you know, or the Indiana Purdue rivalry. It's all the same. You know, they're great rivalries, and that's what college football is all about. Really. So.
You talk about being able to, you know, like you said, you saw him really mad, Brian, after that Michigan game, and you know the way that we know how the Little Giants play at the end of that game, and you suffered a heart attack after that game, and you were able to persevere and come back and push yourself. Talk a little bit about that as a human, from the human side of things, not just as a coach. Like, what went through your mind? I know how close you and Becky and the girls are. You know, when you were making a decision to come back in a position that is such a high stress type of position, like being a head coach at Michigan State.
Yeah, you know, I said, uh-oh. Here we go. But I think that you had great doctors, and, you know, we progressed and didn't do things too quickly. And, you know, that was the season 2010 where, I said, we were on a run. Don Treadwell came in, did a great job. Our coaches did an outstanding job. And, you know, then I got back into it, you know, and, you know, you take baby steps along the way, but, you know, thank goodness I listened to my body really through that thing. So it was a minor heart attack, and recovered fully from that. So I haven't had any other problems. So, you know, yeah, that was a part of it, you know, but at that point, you know, you start thinking, okay, how much longer am I going to do these type of things, because of the pressure and because of the hours, and, you know, the working hours, and it's just strenuous. But, you know, as I continued forward and, you know, we had more success and things of that nature, you know, I felt like I'm okay and everything's good. So we just kept on going and made sure I exercised and got my rest. And,
did it change your perspective on life, like your perspective about wins and losses?
Yeah, I've always said, you know, I don't want to be defined. And even though you say, hey, you won more games than whoever, than Duffy, but I don't want to be defined as that. I want to be defined by my players and who I was as a person to them, what kind of growth they had when they played for us, and what they're doing now, and that I was able to be a part of their life in a positive way. That's what I try to do. I think coaching is teaching, and so that's what I've tried to do, and you know, that's where I hung my hat, you know, player relationships. And I still think that if you have great player relationships, you know, you're going to get the most out of players, and they'll go through a wall for you, and ultimately because of that, you'll be successful as well.
And there's no question about it, Coach. You are definitely known as probably the most trustworthy of coaches in the United States. You know, quite frankly, when in a world where it's very hard to find. And talking about that, you know, persevering through the heart attack and being able to listen to your body and watching your stress level and things that happen to you or you allowed to come into your mind and spirit and soul. Talk about that 2013 game on the road at Notre Dame, and when we got these phantom interference calls. I mean, the whole world knows about it in Spartan Nation now. We want to know what you were thinking.
Bill, that's when I'm not coaching anymore. I talk to Bill Carrillo every now and then. Not as much right now, but used to tell him, Bill, you cost the Big Ten a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Damn right. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
And, now, he didn't cost him, but those officials, and he was very apologetic about some of those calls. Not all of them, not all 5 of them, but some of them. We only
now
one.
5 of them. He knows the number.
5 PIs.
How about the when Langford ran the ball in to win the Big Ten championship in 13? Tell us about that feeling.
Yeah, that was like rubber stamping it right there, buddy. That was an unbelievable feeling. I really can say that. That evening, we stayed up pretty late as well as the players, and probably had a beer with a player or two. I can't remember. And,
as you should deserve.
I remember
very rare. Very rare.
I was down in bed about 2 or 3 in the morning, and saying to Becky, my wife, we're going to the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
Can you believe it? Because at that point in time, Mark Hollis had said, we're not going to rest till our cleats are in the middle of the Rose Bowl, and that was our goal. That was the goal, to get to the Rose Bowl. Anything beyond that, would come later. Maybe that year if we'd have won, I guess the Rose Bowl was still the national championship game that year, so we got there. So, but that was special, and it was special for so many players and so many fans. And the unique thing about that is that people got there. There's 60,000 Spartan fans there. So if you look at when the bus rolled in, there were probably 30,000 fans there waiting, which is incredible. But what I found was people would tell me, hey, people would fly from here to Charlotte to L.A. to get to L.A. to the Rose Bowl in the middle seat. People were scrounging up their change to get a ticket. People were sleeping in cars to get it, leaving from the airport. People were doing crazy things to get to that football game. And, just epitomizes, the Spartan way, really, the hard way. And,
amazing. So then let's go to 15 in Columbus. Connor Cook's not playing. Not a person in America thinks he'll win that game. We had 3 holding penalties against us, I believe, at a halftime. You were irate, I remember. And I remember us coming out of the tunnel. I remember us coming out of the tunnel, and our kids are excited. They're jumping in the rain, and I see their kids under heaters, and I just knew we're going to win. I knew that feeling, and at halftime, did you have any doubt we were going to win that game?
Well, I had a little bit of doubt. Of course, it was 14-7, I think, at half or something like that, maybe. And I can't remember the score at halftime, but just outstanding play by our defense. Played extremely well. I think L.J. Scott had a great last drive. He did. A big run off the goal line. And then Gerald Holmes had some great runs in that football game. Andre London as well. So we ran the ball. Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry did a nice job. Burbage comes up with a big catch. Gets pushed out of bounds, then back in bounds. Trevin Pendleton, big kick by Geiger, and windmills it down the field. But
great.
We just believed, and we were sort of a team of destiny that year. I think we go 12-1, which incidentally, if you look at it, I always look back. We were 36-4, or 38-4, 36 or 38-4 until we lost to Alabama.
Incredible.
So an incredible.
Great run.
that period of time. So, but so I knew we were close. Knew we were sort of winning the emotional battle. And I think what you'll see on Saturday, all this leading up to it is all good. But when you get on the field, it becomes the emotion of the football game takes over. It's not the emotion before the football game. That's why I was like, chill out. Jumping up and down before the game really doesn't get it done to me. It's about what you're doing in the game. Are you jumping up and down in the game? Okay, then let's go. But it's always going to be about how your emotion is in the game, in the midst of the fight. It's easy to do all that prior to the football game, but you better have it when it comes to the game. You better be able to handle adversity. So that's going to be a great football game that you're going to watch.
I got one last story before I let you go. So Matt Ishby and I were in the locker room before the 17 game, and your pregame speech wasn't exactly Newt Rocknish.
Alert.
Yeah. And so we walk out of there, and he's like, what was that? Because he used to Izzo throwing everything and screaming and yelling. I go, just Coach D and the way the kids respond. And we came out in that first half and just dominated, 14-3 in Ann Arbor. And he looked at me, he goes, I guess I was wrong, So
yeah, it's all different ways to get it done, And, for me, it's just like I just said, I'm going to be the guy on the sideline, hey, let's get jacked up on the sideline, in the game. But I remember that football game. I remember giving Peter Secchia a coat out of my locker so he could stay warm. Yeah,
that's awesome. Coach, it's been great to have you. You're a legend.
Let that line out of the cage.
Thank you for joining us. What's your prediction Saturday?
Oh, go green. My prediction is green. I can't tell you the score.
Just got to win by one.
Win by one.
Yeah, it don't have to be by one. Just
That's
has to
it.
be by one. But I think that there's something to this football team. But, I've watched Michigan, too. They have a very good football team. They're playing very emotional. They're running the football effectively, playing great defense. So it should be a great football game. And I think the team that makes the least amount of mistakes always wins the game. So it's about boys.
We're going to see you there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right.
That's
Looking
all we
forward to
need.
that.
Thank you for joining us,
so much.
Coach. Appreciate you. We got Mark Dantonio, MSU's all-time winningest coach. Thanks again, Coach, and go green.
Go white. Thanks.
Take care.
Awesome.
What a legend, huh?
Yeah, man.
Just legendary.
The best.
I'll tell you.
We could talk to him for hours, man. Get some of those stories, like break down that 2013 team. Like really go into the emotion of what he cost us a national title.
I love that.
It's the truth.
Hey, 5 PIs. He knew,
Those last two were ridiculous.
That's
but
awesome.
hey, that was then.
That was done. This is now. We got a big one come Saturday. And Nostradamus, you got any predictions for Saturday?
Man, it's Spartans win. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to get into scores. I'm just going to be just like Coach. Go green.
I mean, I think Moose's lock of the week is pretty obvious. We're not homers, not at all. But Michigan walks into East Lansing and takes an ass whooping. Well, not ass whooping, but Michigan State wins 24-21.
We cover.
We do cover. We're -4. Michigan's favored by 4.5. Another sign of disrespect, which we like and we'll take. So
Vegas disrespecting us.
That's
everybody.
okay. We'll take it. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have Coach Dantonio. He was absolute. What a treat, huh?
It is a treat. Pleasure.
Just a treat to have
National
Coach Dantonio. Absolute treasure. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next week to dissect the game. I'm your co-host, Brian Mosollam, alongside my co-host, Jason Strayhorn. Good night, everybody, and go green.
Good night. God bless.
He stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Touchdown. Yeah.